Good evening and welcome to another in the series, Get the Facts. Of course, this is a collaboration between the Ministry of Health and Wellness and this station, Channel 5. And we're extremely happy to have you joining us this evening. We have a very special show lined up for you as per usual. Tonight, one of the things that we'll be focusing on is actually frontliners who have also contracted COVID-19. So you'll get both sides of the coin, so to speak. What the experience has been like while they were treating patients, and also what it was like while they were a patient themselves. But tonight, we continue with our interactive nature, and we'd like you to submit your question. You can do so by video or just simply by sending us a text at our Facebook streaming platform, Channel 5, News 5 Live, or using the hashtag #GetTheFacts. My apologies. But as per usual, we'll start off with reviewing the numbers since we last met last week, Monday. So the COVID numbers for this week are as follows. From September 6th to today, September 13th, we have our total tests reported 12,181. Total positive cases reported 1,017. Total deaths 18. I think that might have that is the record within a week that we've had. And so the numbers are very scary. Of course, we'd like to extend our condolences to all the families who have been impacted with a death due to COVID. On the flip side, let's take a look at the number of Belizeans vaccinated. Total vaccinated for the week, 8,700. Total single vaccinated for the week, 2,915. Total fully vaccinated for the week, 5,785. Our cumulative data for total vaccinated, 174,978. Total fully vaccinated, 80,879. Total vaccination of children 12 to 17, total vaccinated 16,423. Those are our numbers, and as I said before, it has been an extremely deadly week. And we extend our condolences to all those who have been impacted, not just during this last week, but since the start of the pandemic. Let's switch gears now and jump into our first conversation for tonight. And as I said earlier, we're talking to frontline doctors in this case who will detail their experience of contracting COVID-19. Our guests are Dr. Fernando Cuellar, internist for Belize Medical Associates, and we should be joined by Dr. Anastasio Cobb, ENT specialist from Belize Medical Associates. Dr. Cuellar, good night and welcome to the show.
Buenas noches, William. Good morning. I
don't know how to say good night either.
So a pleasant good night to you, and again, thanks for the invitation. I always take opportunity to try to share as best as I can with my beloved Belizean people.
Now, let's start off talking a little bit about this last week. It has been extremely deadly, with 18 deaths. What's your impression when you hear the numbers?
Very, very sudden, William. I mean, if you just would have said, well, 18 people this week on the Orange Rock, Naran Highway, I wonder where would I say, no? Or 18 people get shot over the weekend, wonder and get killed, where would I say? But it sounds like to a certain extent we're becoming a little bit numb to the numbers and just think about it. And numbers Then have Belizeans where they how much family members they get, friends, co-workers. So they're not just that 18, that the extended circle where there are people where I mean are dying, okay? And the sadder news, if there's such a word, the worser news is that we not reached rock bottom yet. We not reached top yet, so yeah, get worse. And when will we start to say, well, shocks, well, 50 people dead in a day, will that be the point? Then we are start to say, people are dead for you, okay? But people did dead for you, okay? And tonight, I mean, I was invited to say, well, I just experienced moderate COVID. I was hospitalized. I could be the fish of river bottom for come and tell you this is one serious illness. Remember that whole quarrel at the beginning where, oh, they make up thing, this is not a real sickness. This is a bad flu. No, my boy. This is not no bad flu or flu gone bad. This is a real serious sickness. Could kill you easily. I have me CAT scans at the lung, and then CAT scans at the lung, the living proof how bad your lungs were and how bad your numbers were when you're getting in a hospital. And thankfully, you get the proper treatment and you recover. This is my 4th week back to work fully today. I come up the step pretty easily yesterday. I mean, just though. And I feel well, thankfully. So I am one of the fortunate ones, okay, to have recovered.
That would have been my next question. Have you have any residuals in terms
thankfully,
of?
no. My first CAT scan showed about close to 50% of the lung being injured. The last, the control has shown is got down to about 10-15% total. So it has improved greatly, and I'd expect it to only improve. I'm still on medication. I still up on the big conventional ones, the blood thinner, and I still up on the steroids, okay? My lot of vitamins, and my Lee herb. You can't go wrong with the herb. So you combine that, and you also have to combine that, and hopefully we get one chance to take more positive thinking, William. No, you hear about that whole mental part thing, but
yeah, the holistic approach to. You know, I like what you said earlier, and I'll just backtrack as we get Dr. Cobb actually ready to come join us. You said something that is very important, the number of deaths, and people are still looking at it as statistics.
Exactly.
I know of a couple families where you had 2-3 family members dying,
right,
and how, you know, how much of a indelible negative mark that has left on those families. What do you tell a family, you know, is there a predisposition based on DNA, on something else that makes a particular family more
vulnerable,
susceptible, yeah, to death?
That might be the case. I think, unfortunately, there's just one combination of factors, no?
Yeah.
That are one, people who have had underlying conditions, people who are obese, people who may have these gone early. Okay, all of these things play a role, right? In them being the unfortunate ones not to have survived the sickness, no? Okay, so, but it's amazing that we report these numbers as statistics every day and look at it that way, and 300, where were they, 375 total?
I think it's a little.
And 18 over the past week. And like, okay, well, we probably was hard to get jumpy when they reach 81. And well, where one get dramatic is that when they lie down park or lose the floor, okay, they beg for only oxygen, or they sit down in a house and dead. Okay, because we don't reach rock bottom yet.
Wow.
Our numbers have not peaked. Our numbers have not gone to the bottom, and we got more for go. If we not do what we're supposed to do as a Belizean community, which is a basic public health thing. Wear your mask properly, wash your hands, physical distance, not the crowd up, okay? If you see somebody in the aisle, you try to hold back, you do your part. The businesses, they need to do. Make we go back to that 10-10. Remember when we used to do 10-10? The security guard used to look around and come and say 10, okay, next member. Make we do all of that. No, make government have to come with no big stick and tell we to do that. We have to do that on a whole, and not expect government to be the one for solve the thing. And let me say categorically, yes, we promote vaccine big time, but vaccine, no, you know, we don't vaccinate way out of this. Okay,
Yeah.
we are get the fruits of the vaccine 2-3 months down the road. But right now, therefore, do the thing where we say for do another ball, another ask do exemption for wedding and that kind of thing, no? Okay,
Yeah.
you lad man.
Yeah. Let me welcome Dr. Cobb. Good night, and thank
night.
you for joining us as well.
Thank you too much. Thank you.
Doc, we've had you before on the show, but let's talk a little bit about you, the patient. What has been your experience as someone who contracted COVID?
Yeah. Well, thanks for inviting me in the first place, and thanks to everybody. Last year in October, when we had a little surge in COVID, I was one of the people or the frontliners who got COVID. At the time, we were testing the waters about treatments and so on. There was talking about all sorts of medications about COVID, but none of them we knew whether it was going to be 100% effective or how effective it was. And I knew was going to catch COVID as before, because one of my patients had came with a sore throat. The sore throat was normal, as so to speak. And I said, go home and see what happens to you. When the patient called and he said, well, my sense of taste and my sense of smell is gone, I thought that in a few days I probably would be having the symptoms. And so it was. And it is a different thing to be a physician treating patients, and then somehow you turn to be a patient yourself. And I stayed home, and I knew that I had to watch myself. I checked my oxygen at all times. But very soon afterwards, like maybe 2 days or 3 days, with the fever, the intense muscle aches, and the feeling bad, loss of appetite. And then when the breathing problems started to set in, where you start to feel too anxious and anxiety starts to creep on you, and you can't stay still, simply because you just can't have enough air. And you go into your chair, you get up, you go to the window, you go to bed, you sit up, you lie down, and you're just completely restless and very anxious. And when the oxygen level started to go to 94%, I said, let me go and see what's happening to me. So I went to the hospital, and as a physician, I said I needed an X-ray. So they did an X-ray on me. And right away, they said, man, you have COVID. Both lower part of your lungs are infected. I said, well, what do I do now? Do I still go home, or do I check myself in the hospital? And I'm sitting there by the steps of the hospital, leaning, and I can't breathe. I said, no, the best thing is for me to stay in the hospital. I know already, I have the 2 lungs affected. I can't breathe properly. I'm very tired. I'm fatigued. And so I checked myself, and I think that was...
How long were you hospitalized?
5 days.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that was a turning point to decide that I decided to go earlier in and not go home and wait it out and then go back to the hospital when my lungs were fully affected. So the oxygen and the treatment of course, they gave me everything. And but I think being in the hospital, you realize you're a patient, and you realize, listen, we don't know what the course will be. I'm 60 odd years old. I'm hypertensive. Of course, I take my medications. I said, you don't know what is going to be the outcome. And that fear and that anxiety that begins to creep in you, that you still have lots of things to do, you still haven't done everything.
Life flashes in front of you.
Yeah, life flashes out in front of you. I said, you know, my children still need me. I haven't done much in my life. I still have lots more to do. I need to, I hope I can make this.
Now, I want to ask Dr. Cuellar something, because what you said triggered, you're talking about the moment that you realize that you're in a very vulnerable position, right? Dr. Cuellar, what was that moment for you when you realized that, you know, despite my medical knowledge and everything else, I am vulnerable and I don't know the outcome at this point?
That is so easy to answer, William. Can't get out of bed. Cannot get out of bed. You hear his symptoms were? My symptom never involved much breathing issue. Not at all. But it was a severe weakness. I mean, like you can't even lift your finger, right? And you get out of bed and you fall down. You can't stand up on your own. I said, no, this something really wrong here. You better go and get help at the hospital. Mind you, I had somebody where never get sick for the past 10 years. Never got one leak cold or cough, or if there were half-day sniffles. That the last time I may even think that when I tumbled along off of my motorcycle, like 2 years ago, right? They play ball at 70 miles an hour, and that's when they kept me overnight for, rightly so. But no one thing in a hospital, and I've always considered, but this had gone too much. When I get a hospital, my oxygen made at 86, okay, and then put on the oxygen. I did a CAT scan within a few hours, and you see how he talk about X-ray, and that is good the way how we compare this. He had his COVID experience back in October, November last year.
Right.
I had my one 3-4 weeks ago. A lot has changed. You hear how he talk about, we've been talking a lot about different medication. Now we got standard medication where we use nowadays.
So we have been learning.
We have learned a lot.
Yeah.
We have learned a lot, and even so, and that's the main thing. We have learned a lot. We got ventilators. We know for prone patients, meaning we turn them on the belly. We know how to manipulate the ventilator. We got fancier things, but we system get overwhelmed. We could tend to 2-3 people easily and goodly, or top of the line, but we can't got one nurse to tend to 4 patients for the past 6 months. And that's what people need to understand. We won't have this virus forever, maybe. So every day we have got patients admitted. But if we get them admitted 1, 2, 2, 3, fine. They have a better chance of survival because our human resources will be there. When we talk about beds, and this is the thing I always get to me. Oh, we got so much beds. We don't know, physical bed, you could ventilate somebody on a piece of sponge. So physical bed don't make no difference. It's the bed, the IV medication, the IV
staff.
pumps, the staff. That's one of the main things. For have one patient ventilated or 2, and we have one nurse to run between 2, that's no joke. That's why I want to tell one of the things that will change that. Make everybody got their loved one, they make them pay for their own PPE, and then at 24 hours they help that nurse tend to the ICU patient, and they could see the pain and suffering and how bad this thing is, so that they could really go tell people why. Because when people go get locked up in the units, you know, say there again till they either come out or they're dead.
Yeah.
But if you did it with this every day, 24 hours a day, okay, what is supposed nurse have to check this infusion and check that one, check his sugar, check how much PP, okay, and dip on foot.
It then becomes crazy.
Then it becomes very crazy to the person, and they see how their loved ones suffer.
Well,
I don't want to sound, yeah.
Go ahead, Dr. Cobb.
I don't want to
give you
sound
a quick minute because they've called break already. But
okay. I don't want to sound alarmist because I don't like to frighten people and make people work or do things based on fear. But the amount of COVID patients that is being seen in this country right now has increased so much that honestly, we have to admit that our system has been overwhelmed. Because for Karl Huschner, our main hospital, to go on emergency mode, and because they don't have enough beds for looking after these patients, COVID patients alone, then you have to think about all the other patients that come in that have acute shooting pain, stabbing, gallbladder disease, appendicitis, decompensated diabetes or hypertension. Where are these people going to go? Who are going to look after them?
I'll tell you where we have to go. We have to go to break. And when we come back, we'll continue with our conversations. Of course, this is Get the Facts, and you'll get an opportunity to submit your question through our live feed or through the Facebook page. Don't go anywhere. Get the Facts continues after these messages.
This can be you. Get vaccinated. The life you save can be yours. This is a message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
At Belize Diagnostic Center, we offer FDA-approved PCR testing for COVID-19. Get your results as quickly as 1 hour. Don't risk getting exposed to COVID-19 by going elsewhere. We take appointments, or we can come to your home or office using our concierge service with no additional fees. We have 10 locations countrywide. Call or WhatsApp us at 613-TEST. That is 613-8378 to schedule your test today.
With the rise in COVID cases and youths being infected, it is time to be safe and stay safe with SAFE, sanitization and fumigation of environments. Let our professionally trained and certified team be your solution to a clean, healthier, and safe environment for your home or business. For more information, call or WhatsApp 613-0222 or visit us at 2.5 miles Philip Golson Highway beside Friendship Restaurant. Choose the one you can trust. Choose safe.
Save, save, save. The credit union way.
Member owners are encouraged to save regularly, borrow wisely, and repay promptly.
No use keeping the money in your pocket. Soon as you turn wrong, you know you ain't got it. So as money goes from hand to hand, give your cash to the umbrella man, I telling you. Save, save, save. The credit union way. Save, save, save. It will make you rich someday.
As Belize continues to shield its people from the worst ravages of this pandemic, we must continue to keep our country safe by ensuring reliable supply chains for critical components for the fight ahead. Belize's oxygen supply is safe with 300% more oxygen supply in country than is necessary. However, Fabregas continues to make our oxygen supply chain even more robust and responsive to a potential worst-case scenario. Through supply arrangements established and secured by Fabregas, our country can receive critical life-saving oxygen from 5 regional neighbors in Mexico and Central America through marine and/or land transportation. So, in addition, Fabregas has secured additional reliable sources of life-saving oxygen using a diversity of transportation modes and countries of origin. Fabregas Belize Limited. We got your back.
And welcome back to our second segment for Get the Facts. I am your host, William Neal, and I'm joined in studio by Drs. Cobb and Cuellar. Before the break, we were talking a little bit about just how serious this is. I first want to set the stage in terms of moving from the personal and your experiences there to kind of break down what it means to have community spread in Belize City. Prior to this, we had seen community spread in smaller areas that could have been cordoned off completely. Belize City is a completely different kettle of fish. How do we manage that, and what does community spread mean in Belize City, where it's a hub? People come, go, etc.
Okay, what has happened right now is before we used to have small areas with COVID, and the surveillance teams used to go in and do tracking. Now that is nearly impossible, because when you have 50, 60, 100 cases, and a lot of cases are out there, positive COVID, and we don't know who they are, but they are there. How are you going to trace all these people? So now I think we have moved from this, from where we were able to do the tracing and then kind of cordon the areas. Now it's an outbreak. It's out there. It's rampant everywhere. So now we need to change the way we are doing things. I think we have reached the stage where we have to now begin to prepare to see how we are going to manage the people that are sick and the people who need medical attention. Because the original way how we used to do this tracing, now it is extremely, extremely difficult. Anybody who is walking out of the street, you could nearly bet that that person may or may not have COVID. So the modus operandi now of the government and the community is to think that anybody who you come in contact with now has COVID.
But how do you, I hear what you're saying, but for a lot of people, like I work with someone, I'm close friends with somebody, immediately people think, well, this person is safe. How do you get people to understand that you have to treat everybody as a risk?
Yeah. I think Fernando and myself, we both see it in our practice. Last week, I was looking after a lady who had a problem with speech because she had a stroke. And all her symptoms were regarding speech problem because the stroke had affected her vocal cords. Well, little did I know that that lady had a little bit of cough, and I was assuming that this cough was because of that she cannot swallow. Some of the food is going down into her windpipe. When we tested her, it was positive. And all around her, the family's members, when they were tested, were positive also. So it has come to the point now that you cannot assume that where you go, people are not infected. You have to begin to change the way we think that anybody who we encounter may be positive. And more so, the people who are not vaccinated. And I want to change the tone also. People say, I'm vaccinated with one vaccine. No, sir. You are not vaccinated. You are partially vaccinated. And you can still continue to spread the virus. When you are fully vaccinated, you have received your 2 shots, whatever. If it's a Johnson & Johnson, then it's 1 shot. If it's Pfizer, it's 2 shots. AstraZeneca is 2 shots. When you say, I'm fully vaccinated, then yes. And then, of course, 2 weeks afterwards, then you can say, okay, this person might be safe. It's safer, but not totally safe.
So, are we still at the point where you can say if everyone's vaccinated, then you can remove your mask and be in the same space?
Not at this point. Not yet. No. When I start to talk, but that just causes more confusion. But going back to your question
we only have 19% of our targeted population fully vaccinated, which means 2 vaccines, 19%. And there's no excuse for us to have these low numbers, because in the beginning, when we just got the vaccines, we were staging it because we did not have enough vaccines and we were scared that we were going to run out of vaccines. But thankfully, we have received donations from Taiwan, from Mexico, and other places Barbados, and so. And we have enough vaccines, so there's no excuse.
Is Belize in a unique position because
We are unique. Other places like Guatemala and our neighboring countries, they don't have the vaccines. They are scarce, they are short of vaccines. We are so fortunate to have enough vaccines to be able to vaccinate, move close to our target. And so there's no excuse to say we only have 19%. And you cannot say we are going to blame the government because the vaccines are here. They have been able to do through diplomacy or whatever. However, we have the vaccines. So this thing about people not getting vaccinated and these people who scream on TVs and say, do not get vaccinated, they can scream anything they want. But if we put them in the front line in a hospital where they have to sit like a nurse, stay there 12-hour shift, using Pampers because they cannot go to the toilet breaks, then I want to see that person be able to talk. But when that person has not lived, has not experienced the hardships of working so many hours in a COVID unit, then if that person has not experienced that, that person is not free to talk what they're talking.
I do want to go back to that question you asked.
Yeah.
Because you almost asked it in a way that we were at a point a little bit of hopelessness, like, well, we get screwed here at Belize City, everybody got COVID, blah, blah, blah. No. If we go back, for example, way back to the Spanish flu and the 1918 thing, we get the out of the whole pandemic, the public health measures. Look at how big the city was. And we can't say how Belize City is a grand metropolis. Okay? We don't want relatively, compared to one of the villages down south, for example, where we get closed down now. One of them, please remember the name, help me. But you remember they had two villages where they locked down and blah, blah, blah. Okay. So we don't want to lock down Belize City, but we want to apply public health measures. I do very much in agreement for government say, make we say that for going to public, in a government buildings, you need for show proof of vaccination. I don't think they for go as far as mess with the private grocery shop thing and so, because people have to access food and so. Okay, but you could run your government buildings and say if you want going to this one and that one, show proof of vaccine. Work with the business community for make them promote that. Okay, and make the village community put them money where them out and say, well, some the we are boycott you and we are do this. Well, make we do that. But I did tell you that I will encourage vaccination and ask you for coming with vaccine because I want to help the country. Okay? We encourage the public thing. Remember, again, we go back to that thing about 10 people at a time. Spray, everybody to spray their hand. Remember that time when that may happen? Okay? Be more vigilant on the public transportation. Right? I hear it a lot, but I'm not sure if it get done that half capacity, everybody stand up in a line, everybody behave themselves. Okay? Continue including the implementation. Tell people what you make with treat one another like people and stop treat people like hug to each other. No? Sir, put on your mask. Everything tell me what to do. Come on, man. Thanks, officer. And tell the officer, Taliban, sir, and good night.
Yeah.
Be correct. And that message for God. So I think there's a lot of strategic, surgical, public health measures too that can be done to help this thing. The business community could say, "Watch ya." I could tell any business that the best production they got out of the employees, even here at Channel 5, they're between 8 and 4. After 4, 5 o'clock, not much you go on. So, watch ya, everybody going who want 4 o'clock. Okay, make sure that you have 1 2 hours to go pick up your picnic and go to buy your grocery and get home. And then we are continue this. It was amazing how people learn to work from home.
That's true.
Okay, so the school thing where they go on right now, good. The teachers vaccination, good, and the mandate. So there's quite a bit. Not make the size of Belize City fool you. Okay, and make somebody walk down the street and actually go up to them, coach, just like you have any real reason you're outside? If you know God, could you please help us go back inside? They kind of thing. So not throw up your hand like because the city we're in and because the city and because of the numbers, we do need for help this public health. The vaccination will help the city get out of this. It's the public health measures that will do that.
All right. And that means washing your hands, wearing your mask, and watching your distance. With that said, I want to remind our viewers, the next segment that is coming up, you'll get an opportunity to ask our experts on both fronts, having survived COVID.
Patient.
Some questions. So please send in your questions, and right after the break, we'll answer some of those questions. Don't go anywhere. Get the Facts continues after these messages.
No sense at all. No kind of sense. That Belize video when I have that sign up there in the China for.
That not in your China at all, that in Spanish.
You understand what it said then?
Yeah. It said wear your face mask properly, cover your nose and your mouth.
Will help prevent the spread of COVID to others. Together we could make Belize safe.
Wear your mask properly over your mouth and nose to protect yourself and others. Together we can keep Belize COVID-19 safe.
Looking good, Mom. Hey guys, I'm off to run some errands. Please tidy up this place. No!
How did you guys do it?
We got cleaners.
Cleaners?
You know it, Dad.
Cleaner. It works.
The convenient and flavorful way to give your immune system a daily boost of vitamin C. Just pop the cap, drop it in water, let it fizz, and enjoy.
Welcome back to Get the Facts. And we're still here with Doctors Cobb and Cuellar, and we're moving into our question and answer segment. The first question is it possible to request a specific vaccine over the other, or do you get whatever they give you?
I think we have enough varieties of vaccines. We had the AstraZeneca, we now have Johnson and Johnson. We have Pfizer, and we were reserving the Pfizer for the children because we are interested for them to go back to school. But I think the government has enough vaccines now that I believe that very soon we will be able to say you can choose whatever you want. The bottom line.
But we're not there yet.
The bottom line, it's probably going to be very soon. Maybe I think it's going to be announced.
Can your medical expert or your doctor recommend one for you and request it?
No, you can choose. You can choose. And I think we are at the point now that we are really interested in the bottom line is to get people vaccinated. So if you want Pfizer and there is Pfizer available, you can get Pfizer. If you want one Johnson and one jab, you can get that.
All right. Let's go to our next question. What advice would be given to people who are scared to get vaccinated because they have clotting issues and are on blood thinners?
Okay, what I would say there, you need to have a real sit down with your doctor and talk about your issue and weigh the pros and cons, okay? If you have one disease where it make you more vulnerable for form blood clots, and that's why that person more than likely they're on blood thinners, I mean, you could say, well, it could be safe to take maybe increase your blood thinning medication. You check your blood test to say that you have effect of the blood thinning, that kind of thing. But there's no outright no or outright yes. It's always useful to have a sit-down discussion with your doctor for these particular conditions.
Let's move to the next question. I'm considering getting vaccinated, but AstraZeneca and Johnson is not as well received as Pfizer. So I am leaning towards that with more confidence.
This person should, I should want to tell this person to leave his fears away. All the vaccines are good and they have been proven to be effective in preventing the serious disease. Pfizer, of course, came out in the US, and that is the one that was launched more or less first. And I think the people got more confidence in Pfizer. And a lot of people want to have Pfizer. But Pfizer, because of the expensive, very expensive, we have to have special refrigeration and special transportation. It's not as easy for us to be getting Pfizer.
Yeah.
But of course, the US has been nice to us and has donated the refrigeration. But because we cannot afford to buy as much Pfizer as we would like to, we kind of depend on the donations, I would encourage this person to get anyone because he's going to be safer with any one of the vaccines that he takes.
Than nothing, yeah. Let's get to the next question.
Before you I think the Creole answer to that, you go for teeth, so you better know, which are not true.
What is used to treat people for COVID in the hospital?
Okay, in the past, we were trying a lot of things, and we were not very sure what was going to work. And but now, Dr. Cuellar received one of the latest treatment that is available in the world. And when his doctor told me that when they gave them to him, that he responded very quickly. Maybe you can say that.
Okay. Of course, this whole thing, you get a lot of hate mail and a lot of criticism all over for what happened. Oh, Cuellar, he must do good because he got money and he worked at one top institution and he get the latest medication. Let me tell you, in Belize, okay, 90% of what we got in the private setting, not in the public setting. Okay, the government was responsible to make sure we get things like remdesivir, whether the antiviral. Okay, and we have that in supply for those who need it, being admitted in Orange Walk or Carlucia. The doctors, they know how to use it. He never benefit much from that. Then time we just made it, if it work, if you know the work, all over the world. We got dexamethasone. Okay. We could use ivermectin. We now use zinc and vitamin C and vitamin D. When he talk about that, the thing will just come out.
Toxilumab.
Toxilumab will come out over the past months. where the one called one monoclonal antibody, which are one of the newer ones, very expensive, okay? Of course, just like when one Nike tennis come out, it costs $300, but give it to 6 months, it costs $200. So I expect with the next few months, and maybe I think much more affordable to everybody. So that is the medication that he's talking about that I received, and luckily you could have see the good response quickly.
All right.
But 90% of medication, and we not only that, we know how to manage the fluids. Okay, we know that we keep them a little bit what we call dry. We don't know a whole lot better strategies than 1 year ago.
Yeah. All right, let's go to our next question. What about human error from all these doctors and nurses, long hours?
Watch out, big time. Big time, my boy.
That's a concern.
That's a big concern, and that's why they try drilling a people's head. Okay?
People are tired.
People are tired, even the people in a lab. You know where they go at it for hours and hours and hours? The contact tracers make mistake. Anybody, the rocket science, the people may go to the moon. If they don't get proper rest, I think they will make mistakes easier. And of course, we will make mistakes. Okay?
I would like to congratulate the people who are really at the bedside of the patient, which are the nurses. The nurses are really the ones that are taking the toll, because the physician will come in every 2-3 hours will check on his patient, and if he has outside monitor, he doesn't have to really come into the room to see the patients.
We could see patients.
We can see patients on a remote control,
on a TV,
and
so
we
we
can
don't have to go into the room all the time.
We can see the monitor and everything, but the really and truly, the person who is at the bedside of the patient, who is actually taking the temperature, who is actually feeding the patients, helping the patients, is the nurses. And the nurses, I believe, are the backbone of this whole management when you are in the hospital.
We should be sure of that. And that with one PPA on for 12 hours, you know. That's why you don't want to invite the anti-vaxxers to be volunteer nurses to go and help out the units and not give them a PPE.
Let them buy it.
No. Tell them this thing no exists. What do you worry about? You're the volunteer, your God-given time. Help us.
Now this person says, glad to see you living after what you went through, I guess. Thanks to the herbs, right? You said it yourself. So please speak on the herbs you took and not the something vax.
Not the vax.
I never think I ever said that I use herbs and no vaccine. On the contrary, I have been saying, and I could say it stronger now, the vaccine helped. Remember the vaccine, not for stop your catch, because I've been there a living proof, I catch it, but you avoid big time, help you get serious illness and death. Medication help, and herbs gonna lead role for play. Okay, so can't go wrong. I may smell like garlic and onion for 3 days. I may smell like one good seasoning piece of meat. But okay, I may do some of it. I never do the whole vervain thing and so. But
the next question would like to know if those hospitalized and intubated are people who didn't take the vaccine.
Answer that, Cobb.
There's a straight answer to that. Most of these people that are in the hospital are unvaccinated people. And we have had a very few people who have their 2 doses who have caught the virus. But most of them, I would say 99.9% of them are unvaccinated people.
All right, next question reads, and can anyone say why the people that have the vaccine still should use a mask?
Yeah, because remember we thought the vaccine help stop serious illness and death. You know, help you get the infection. So if you get the infection, you could spread it. So the mask still have a role for play. Okay, we are not there yet. We was yet there more than ever now. We need it at this point where we're in a numbers in a free fall and we're up at the edge creek. Okay?
All right.
To illustrate that question, to answer, I recently saw a tourist who came fully vaccinated, 2 doses. He checked before he came. He had negative COVID test. He went on a diving boat and everybody is vaccinated. And a few days before he was planning to go home, he had a sore throat. And we did a test on him, a PCR, and he came out positive. So being vaccinated doesn't mean that you need to lower your guard. You still have to protect yourself because you still can transmit the virus and you can still catch it. Fortunately, it lessens the risk of mortality, lessens the risk of the patient dying.
All right. Next question reads as follows. Is there an approved vaccine I can get within 1 month of having COVID-19?
No, not yet.
Simple answer, no. Next question. If you have COVID at home, when is the right time to go to a hospital?
Well, there's a lot of various factors, but the main thing is that those who have COVID are encouraged to get one of the oxygen meters at home, and you monitor yourself, and if your oxygen falls below 93, that's a warning flag for say, okay, that's time for go to the hospital. Or, just like what Cobb said, he may feel extremely bad, I may feel extremely weak. Those are the warning thing that you would use. This is not normal, so the time for make a go, and no wait till last minute for go and such though, but the oxygen one that usually the main parameter where we use for tell somebody whether or not they forgot the hospital.
All right, the next question.
Wow, a lot of questions.
Good night. Doctors, please give us your take on pregnant women taking the vaccine. Asking as a pregnant person who is at 34 weeks.
Well, it's safe. The outright answer to that, after many months of studies and data, it's now shown to be safe that pregnant women can take the vaccine, okay?
And that's the Pfizer?
And that's the Pfizer we usually, okay? So please get your vaccine, ma'am, and it will minimize the risk of anything going terribly wrong. And I say, only God can know who will happen to what, or what will happen to who, but it will definitely minimize the risk of being hospitalized.
This person has the question, has anyone died that was fully vaccinated in Belize?
No.
Not from my knowledge, none.
No?
No.
All right. So we have another one. If you already had your first vaccine and you get infected with COVID-19, how long do you have to wait for you to get the second dose?
Which one are the vaccines?
Well, it depends on each vaccine.
Because Pfizer, the 2-3 weeks difference, and the AstraZeneca.
But they're asking if you test positive after the first one.
Oh.
After the first
yeah,
shot.
That's a good question. That's a good question because you get the first one, you get COVID positive, and you have to still wait your 6 months again. Okay. Remember we talked about that 6 months after getting, so that red herring of the first vaccine kind of dropped the water, so you go find that you were tested positive.
Will you then have to take 2 shots
yes, you start
over?
Scratch over?
You start over. Okay. The next question. Who are the adult persons that have a valid excuse for not accessing the vaccine, especially since Belize has 3 to choose from?
Well, I think one, and I want to say this, I think the whole argument against vaccine has gone from going against science. Okay, remember when for this first thing about the experimental thing, and all of those arguments has been generally debunked. You know, hear that cry again. Then we go on to the legal quarrel. Well, it's not legal for do this, it's not legal. That also gone to water because it has been shown that there's a lot of legality in what governments can do and can't do. When they never know the morality, this is my body, and I got choice. Okay, so I could not take that choice on me. I tell them, for example, you got a choice to walk in the middle of the road too. Go walk in the middle of the road and see what happened to you. Okay, but stop being selfish. If they're not for you, that's for somebody wrong you. You help somebody else wrong you. Okay, right? So that's the thing. You have this whole thing about I didn't remember what the original question.
No, they were just talking.
Yeah.
But I want to. I like to give examples. I had a patient who had a throat cancer, and then I told him, listen, this will not go away with medicine, herbs, or anything. You can go for treatment, chemotherapy, and radiation, and whatnot. So he decided that he was not going to do anything of this sort. Well, that's fine. That's his decision. It's not going to affect anybody except himself. And when he found out that the cancer was coming out through his neck, In his head, he believed that now the cancer is coming out of my throat. It don't reach in the skin. Soon it will go away. Of course, the person died some months afterwards, but it only affected him, nobody else. This one affects everybody and affects the family, friends, and the public in general. And it also affects our economy. A lot of people are out of jobs who are not gainfully employed. And these people are affected, okay? So you have to think about people, other people, not only yourself. If you love yourself and you love your neighbor, then you should try to vaccinate yourself so you can protect your neighbor. Because a lot of people are struggling every single day of their life to put food on the table because of no income.
You see where this alert come with the tourist thing, not you?
Yeah.
Where we did at level 4. Level 4, we said that with the highest rate, that means more than likely we'll have less numbers of tourists, less employment. So they are all interconnected, okay? And people have to realize that then to work together big time.
Quick question, and then I'll jump to break. How accurate is the rapid test?
I'd say about 90% accurate.
Okay.
No anything, maybe even the Bible, no 100% accurate, not sure.
Not true. And before we go to break, there's a notice that has come out from the KHMH. It's appealing to families, members of persons who recently passed due to COVID-19 to go into the hospital to claim the bodies. And the reason for that is the morgue is now full. Okay?
What I give you the answer for that? Go rent 2 refrigerated trailer and park the right side of the morgue back there. And when the morgue get full up, put the other bodies in a refrigerated truck. And when one full up, get one next one. Because that's what happened. You're not going to claim your body from out of the morgue itself. You're going from out of the trailer number 1. And maybe you could get one for each regional hospital. Because they not got one big time morgue like Kalusha, and they got 1, 2, or 4 spots. So they man with a business with a refrigerator truck could make good money for rent to the hospital and government. One time, things solved.
And with that, as inhumane as it may all seem, that's the reality that we're facing. So we really don't want to get to that point. And the KHMH continues to tell us that, you know, they're in emergency mode. With that, we're going to go ahead and take our final break. And when we come back, we'll have our wrap for tonight. Don't go anywhere. Get the Facts concludes after these messages.
At Belmopan Medical Center, your health matters. Come see one of our many specialists such as pediatrician, dermatologist, urologist, nephrologist, or orthopedic surgeon. Our allied services include laboratory, pharmacy, nutritionist, psychologist, hospitalization, and operating theater. We provide on-call ultrasound services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week using our new venous and arterial Doppler. Get your About ID Now PCR test for only $275 or get a rapid antigen test for only $100. Both tests give results in 30 minutes. Belmopan Medical Center, located on Garbot Creek Street in Belmopan. Give us a call at 822-3179 because your health matters.
What is the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine? The Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine is an RNA vaccine that triggers our immune system to develop antibodies against the SARS-CoV-2 virus that causes COVID-19. It helps to reduce hospitalization, severity of the disease, and death. What is the Pfizer vaccine made of, and is it safe? The Pfizer vaccine is made up of mRNA messenger ribonucleic acid, which are molecules that carry the genetic information needed to make proteins, lipid, salts, and sugar. It is safe for persons 12 years and older and does not contain the COVID-19 virus, hence cannot cause infection. Tests have shown that the vaccine is effective against current virus variants. Who should take the Pfizer vaccine? The Pfizer vaccine should be taken by persons 12 years of age and older who do not have severe allergic reaction after a previous dose of vaccine or have not had severe allergic reaction to any ingredient of this vaccine. 2 doses of the vaccine are required 3 weeks apart. If you are between the ages of 12 and 17 years, you are required to present a signed consent form before you are vaccinated. What are the side effects of the Pfizer vaccine? Some common side effects of the Pfizer vaccine are headache, fatigue, muscle pain, fever, chills, and swelling at the injection site. If side effects persist, contact your doctor as soon as possible. Does the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine prevent infection and transmission? No, vaccination alone does not prevent infection and transmission. We are still required to continue to wear masks properly, physically distance, wash and sanitize hands often, practice proper coughing and sneezing hygiene, and avoid crowds.
At Belize Diagnostic Center, we offer FDA-approved PCR testing for COVID-19. Get your results as quickly as 1 hour. Don't risk getting exposed to COVID-19 by going elsewhere. We take appointments, or we can come to your home or office using our concierge service with no additional fees. We have 10 locations countrywide. Call or WhatsApp us at 613-TEST. That is 613-8378 to schedule your test today.
And welcome back. We're moving into our final segment, which means a quick wrap from each of our guests. We're going to start first with Dr. Cobb. You have a minute, Doc.
Okay. Well, what can I say? I can tell you COVID is real. I'm telling you. I have had it. I have lived it. I know it's real. I have had families who have died from COVID. The person that died came to the hospital with a tank in his car. Couldn't talk. Couldn't move. 2-3 days afterwards, he died. My message to you is you have an opportunity to save yourself, to help your family, to help your community. Stop being selfish. If you are still undecided whether you should take the vaccine, just take a little peek and go over to Karhushna and see how many people are there punishing, gasping like a fish out of the water. And see that it is real. You don't have to buy the vaccine. It's there. It's available. What else? What other excuse can you give? Or what other explanation do you want me to give you to vaccinate yourself?
Thank you very much, Dr. Cobb. Now, Dr. Cuellar?
I guess I would say things along the same thing. I could now say, I just want to say I could break, but you can't break about this, but you can actually say you're a fish from river bottom now, and you could tell people this is a real sickness, and it was horrible, and thankfully I'm one of those who have survived. We have had a lot of people who have not survived, and when they look on the numbers like numbers, unfortunately, and the old are 375 now, and we had 18 over the past week, and unfortunately we are there now, okay? When will it be like, oh Lord, this stuff, I mean, when it turn 80 or 50 a day, then because we head away, and that's the truth, we don't reach rock bottom yet, to keep this safe, and we need to practice the public health measures, okay? We cannot vaccinate we out of it. Vaccine is one tool that help you not get seriously ill and die. It want help, but you have to practice the public health measures that we've been you see at the talk, my mask roll on down my nose, to use your mask properly, wash your hands, social distance, the whole business community, everybody for work together, make sure that there enough, the people who for the bus, stagger your workforce, take care of your entrance to your grocery stop, the gas station, everybody for do their part so that we could have less Belizeans die and hopefully we could not have our healthcare system being overwhelmed. Because we say we don't have COVID forever. We are going to take care of the 2-2 and the 3-3 and 1-1, but we can't take care of the 30-30. And that's when people, they take lead. Even at 15-20 nursing care, the whole medical care is already compromised. They get the best care. So come on, please vaccinate. And even if you say, well, I hesitant and this and that, if they're not for you, do it for somebody else, man. Okay?
Right. And with that said, we've come to the end of our show for tonight. We'd like to thank our viewers for tuning in. And of course, we leave you now with the vaccination schedule for the week for the Independence catchment. Stay safe and stay tuned and tune in next week, Monday, for another show of Get the Facts, brought to you by the Ministry of Health and Wellness in collaboration with Channel 5. Remember, wash your hands, wear your mask, and watch your physical distance. Good night.